Yo, 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 it's Misha Dex,
And your
and
boy Keymon. You never say and. You just say Misha Dex, and then I come on to say Keymon.
no, you are too loud. You don't hear me, and I'd be like, and you, with you know who? Like I do that.
Ah, damn, really?
You just want to start a fight today. You had a bad day. You was in traffic.
No, no. Shit. I feel like every day has been. You just don't know what you. I've been trying to stay in good spirits though, because shit's been cray
Okay.
cray.
Okay. Well,
With
with
that
that
being
being
said,
said, let's spin the block on some things. Okay.
okay.
So we've talked about different hardships and challenges and things that have come up for us. Last week you talked about your silent flex and making sure your girls don't have to grow up with some of the challenges if you can help it, right? That you experienced. Let's talk about some affirmations. Let's affirm each other this time. It's too much
Mm.
going on. Let's spin it on some positive stuff.
What does affirmation means to you? What does that mean?
Well, I think about the word affirm, right? To make
Hmm.
sure that I feel, well, first of all, let's break a few parts down. Like the word firm for me is like this solitude, right? To stand firm into something. So to be affirmed is to be able to like wholeheartedly stand in a space where, how do I say this without sounding conceited, right? It's like, it's factual.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I'm her,
yeah, yeah.
right? I mean, you could be him too, but I'm her.
And I feel like that's the thing though, like right when we get to that point where we're trying to show that that bright shiny light about us is so hard, or we feel like, oh, I don't want to come off conceited. I don't want to come off conceited, but sometimes it just calls for it. Like
So
just
what
do
you
it.
saying? It's okay to have main character syndrome? Because if we can
Yeah,
have when the
yeah.
next time I come to the house, I'm gonna just walk in and treat y'all
Not
like business.
not not me. Not around me. Just around your other folks. Around your other folks.
How you gonna give me permission to act around other people and not you? That's so wild.
But moving on.
Okay.
You asked the question. I believe it was episode 6. If somebody had asked you, you know, how I talk about like what you deserve, what you deserve, what you deserve, and they asked me the question is, what do I deserve? What do Kimon deserve? And since that question, it has been like in the car with me. It has been watching TV with me. Like it's just constantly going through my head, which is one thing that I appreciate because it makes this moment so special because
Mm,
we get to ask each other these questions that probably would never ever come about in certain situations or other environments or whatever the case may be. So what I did was I actually wrote something, and
oh,
it was nothing crazy, but I just wanted to share because again, this has been something that's been on my heart and my mind since you asked that question. So I'm just gonna read something real quick. So I deserve to have a free mind in my Tim's voice. I deserve to say no without feeling the guilt. I deserve to be loved. I deserve to be free from the survival instincts, but I know I don't have a choice. I deserve grace. I deserve to sit. I deserve the shit I work hard for. But man, give yourself room to enjoy it. I deserve a safe place. I deserve to be happy. I deserve the desire to break the generational curse. I deserve my silent flex to be played over the loudspeaker so my girls can be aware of my intentions. I deserve what I deserve.
man. And out of all that you said, I feel like the moment that your daughters are able to pay homage to you, that is going to be the day that you realize everything that you ever been through. It's not that it doesn't matter, it will never hold the weight of how
Mm,
proud your own child is of you, right? Because we are our hardest critics. So if your child is of you, that is another form of you. So that's another form of you affirming you, right?
yeah.
Like, I'm just so proud because I'm gonna take it back. One of the conversations I have with my friends is about
Hmm.
dating and what that looks like for me. And I always say, like, I would love to date a beautiful man that has been through therapy, especially black men, right? Like,
Yeah.
so when I hear you with the level of emotional intelligence, when I hear you the amount of vulnerability, and then like these full circle moments, which I like to call them full diamond because I'm bougie like that, but when you have these full diamond moments, I get so proud of you. Like, dude, like you're not the same. You are the same dude that kicked me out your house for making you laugh, but dude, we came so far, Kimon. Like,
Yeah.
I've seen so much. And I do not take it lightly that you call me a sister. Like, I do not take it lightly that you call me your friend and that you share not only your children with me, you share your traumas with me, but in a way that I don't feel like I ever have to tell you, hey, this is my capacity.
Yeah.
Like, it's always one of those things where it's like, if you're gonna share it, I'm gonna be here to listen.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
But that question had you in a chokehold
It really did,
for
and
3 weeks.
and I really appreciate that because in the midst of life being life, like we, I personally don't really sit down and get to ask myself those questions because what I do and who I do, it's just all it's all for someone else.
Mm.
Like I'm in it, but at the end of the day, it's still for someone else. And so, um, sometimes I feel like I can't take a break. I can't take a break, and and that's not the way it should be. But you know, truthfully, I just feel like that, and
And it's
so
hard to hear that because I want you to know that you can, right? You
yeah,
have to
yeah,
create space for you. And again, because you are so hard on yourself, I feel like that doesn't allow you room to chill. So one of the things that I've struggled with is I'm always on the go. But I don't realize I'm on the go till I get called out about it. Right.
hmm,
And then when I finally get time to sit quiet, I sit quiet and I isolate and it's not um it comes off like I'm in a funk, but in reality I am
yeah,
mummified.
yeah,
Like, I don't want to
yeah,
talk. I don't want to exchange
yeah,
energy. It's really me internally just regrouping. With that being said, we get so caught up in trying to regroup that we think that taking a moment to breathe and be quiet is either lazy or unproductive.
yeah,
But if there's productivity in being silent, there's productivity into taking time for yourself. Like, that's part of being productive is
yeah.
self-soothing. So
I hear
I
you.
hope that you make time to be able to take those breaks when you can and be okay with it and not beat yourself up for doing so.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you.
So add that to your list of what you deserve. You deserve.
Facts, facts, facts. I got and on the other on another note, um, I have my first official appointment scheduled for Thursday for therapy session. So definitely will give you guys a follow up on how that went, goes, and all the above. But it's
What
just
time? Wait,
super
what
excited.
time is it? So I know what time to bother you.
That's seven,
In the morning?
no, no, 7 a.m.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. But just super excited to dive in on on a deeper scale. And again, like I mentioned before, I want to see how different this session is from these type of spaces that I have already created
Hmm.
for myself.
So, question:
Um, what's your question? You
what
always
do you
got a
need
damn
from
question.
me? You so stupid. I'm serious. What do you need from me? Like, how can I be supportive? I'm an advocate for therapy. I've done it multiple times. I currently, I'm gonna have to say it. I love my therapist. Um, what is it that I can do to support you? Whether it's debriefing, leaving you alone. What can I do to support you?
I think it's more so probably holding me accountable because the way I see it and the way I vision myself going through this process, I would love to journal after every session,
Okay.
and it's almost it gives me it creates a space where it allows me to really digest my emotions behind it or um, what I got from it or um, what I didn't like about it.
Okay.
And so I think that's going to be crucial for me is just really trying to write behind it.
So can I buy you a journal?
Sure.
Because if you waste my money,
There's a problem.
you
But
know.
then also too is I'm making it I'm saying this so then it holds me accountable. Cause ain't nothing like I love my followers on Instagram. I just love my followers. I love the people I follow because indirectly they hold me accountable and motivate me. And I think and that's big for me.
Yeah, it is. Because I'm gonna say this because I love you, right? You know, when people start with that, they about to say some stuff.
So
No, one thing I do know about you is, and I always say it: if you will stick to something for a minute, but
mhm.
I think it has everything to do with your upbringing. I
Yeah,
think, again, we talked about fashion for me, right?
yeah,
That is
yeah.
my trauma. Like, I'll give you a case in point. And I grew up where my mama did not let me go out the house without my earrings in my ear. I don't know what that was about for her, but that trauma, it actually kind of like it kind of impacted my friendships because I'll be like,
Mm,
"You going outside with no earrings on?"
mhm.
Like that's not a thing, Tramisha. Like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was your mama's
yeah.
trauma. So for me, the things that I do as far as dressing a certain way or doing certain things is because it's related to trauma. And with you, I feel like you switch up because about the
Yeah,
different levels of stability you
yeah,
didn't have, right?
yeah.
So
And no, that's true because that goes to high school, that goes through employment, and I don't know if it was just a way of just being like just jump and fly, see what else is on the other side of it.
mm,
But just real funny. So you talk about how your mama had this thing for earrings. It's so funny because my granny used to sit at the kitchen table looking out the window and every lady who walked past with red lipstick on, she was a hoe. And
you
so
see what I'm saying?
as I got older and started dating, I was like, "You wearing red lipstick?"
Wait, you wear red lipstick. So what you be saying?
No, so like everyone who I was dating, I'm
No,
just like
no,
in my
no.
head, I'm just like, shit, hoe." like you. But yeah, that's passed on.
It is
Shit
it's
that
it's
we.
it's passed on trauma. And the thing that's so funny is that knowing you for multiple decades, I've seen your fashion change, right? I've
Mm,
seen you go from, like, I feel like Kendrick Lamar need to give you a shout out for the bell bottoms because that's your jam. That
yeah,
is.
yeah.
If ain't nobody seen him with bell bottoms, I'm gonna post a picture because this man loves him some bell bottoms. But no, like you, like but again, I'm not even saying it in the space of like out of disrespect. I can appreciate it. So somebody asked me a question today and it really sat with me and it had me thinking about how far I've come as my person, right? As me as
Hmm.
in my person. And so the question was, what was um what was the most impactful part of high school? And I said, getting out of it,
mm,
like getting out of it. And what I was trying to convey in that message was, it wasn't that I didn't enjoy high school. I just had so much going on that I don't know. I felt like I had this thing on me. Like, for example, when I lost my mom in ninth grade and we had to come back to school, I don't know what in my mind calculated this feeling, but I felt like I had a to me. Like,
mm,
she don't have a mother. Like
mm,
like as if something was contagious or corroded about the idea a kid without their mother, right? And then like I created this idea that I was the lone star, right? Like the one
mm.
that was just, and then I get older and people will ask certain friends that still, stay in touch with me, like, oh, you still talk to her? She's still the same person. And they like, yeah, she's still cool. And I'm sitting there going, that's crazy that that's your idea of me, because I feel like I struggled.
Yeah, yeah. But that's normal though. That's normal when people see the beauty in you that you don't even see yourself. Like a that's you being normal. That's because as you mentioned, like we're our hardest critics, and I couldn't even imagine losing my parents at ninth grade, especially parents that actually been there.
Hmm.
Um, and really taking blame for that because I think the closest I got to that was losing my granny when I was in college, and I dropped every single class. But one thing about me with school, I always finish school.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I would jump from job to job and try new things, but
You
that
went through
was
your
one
party
thing.
phase after she
Yep.
passed.
I did. I did. I did. But that is just a piece of who I am and my personality. And
Yeah.
that's what I just gotta pay homage to. Like that's just who I am.
Right. And that's why I said I didn't even mean it from a space of like, ugh. It was like, dang, you have created opportunities to reset, right? And like you said, let
mm,
me see if this gonna work, or let me see how
mm,
this is gonna play out. And if, again, it always goes back to the future kids, right? Like all the god babies, nieces, nephews, and all that. It's like, if I can give them something without tainting their thought to like hinder them for being optimistic and trying new things, right? It'll be like, if you gonna be this person, own it. Like
yeah.
if you gonna
Yeah.
be a red lipstick wearing, I'm just playing. No, like if you like me, I went through the tomboy phase, right?
Yeah.
But a part of that was, there was a bigger story that nobody knew about, right?
Mm,
So I was hiding.
mm,
So my pants was baggy. They looked like I took a crap on myself, like wearing
mhm.
pants that was like 4 times the size
Yeah.
and all that. But it was because I was identifying with a hidden part of me,
Mm,
right? And then when I went through the phase of like cutting all my hair off, like this, right?
mm,
After having hair to my butt, damn near to my butt all my, like,
yeah.
childhood life. It was just like certain things you just do. You just, it's no rhyme, it's no reason, but at the end of the day, just own that space so you
Yeah.
can say why you did it and how you came out of it.
And that's being intentional behind it. And obviously back then you didn't know you didn't probably even think of the word, but that's one thing that you can pass on to, your God babies. And one thing I used to tell my students, like at the end of the day, if you're have intentions behind how you move, no one can ever question your thought process, the way
Right.
you move, or whatever the case may be, because you moved in a way that you felt that was beneficial to you.
Right. And even if they question it, it's not their answer to answer.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like I am very aware of how being me saved me from future me that
Mm,
would have been unguided, right? And what I mean by that is, I know who I could have been. You know how they say
yeah.
when people are victims, they can become the predator, or when people grow up a certain way, they become those environments.
Yeah.
I feel like I wasn't the kid that had to touch the stove to know it was hot. Like if
Yeah.
I see you touch the stove and you say it's hot, oh, guess what, baby? No, that thing
Yeah.
hot and I ain't touching
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But it's some
Yeah.
people that gotta touch the stove.
That's how I was growing up with older uncles, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good." And you would think, life would have been so much different for me based on, you know, what I grew up with or around. But that's
Hmm.
like that was the power of having mentors, to really pull me in the direction and expose me to different things. And I spoke about this last week in terms of my daughters, me wanting them to go out and explore, because that's where you learn. That's
Yeah.
where the experience, that's where the grit come from. And as much as I do to try to protect them, and oh, you can't wear this, you gotta act a certain way, like these are just tools, because they're going to
Yeah.
have to go out there and apply the rule book that I gave to them, and understand, like, that rule didn't work in this situation.
Right. And then they're growing up in a totally not even time frame. They're growing up with different characters than we grew up with.
Yeah,
Like if we sat down and wrote down five characters that was adults in our upbringing, right? Or even around us. They didn't even have to help
yeah,
raise us. Like I got two crackheads that I know for a fact that gave me some life lessons. I ain't even I ain't even gonna hold you. It
yeah,
was some neighborhood crackheads that if I hit up a few old friends from back in the day, they'll be on the floor like, "Fool, how you bring it up? You bringing them up, right?" But they're not even exposed to the stuff that we was exposed to,
yeah,
the living
yeah,
environment. Your
yeah,
girls ain't never stayed a night at the
yeah,
projects
yeah,
or none
yeah,
of that.
yeah,
And if they
yeah,
know a dope dealer, it's because they work for the damn hospital.
yeah, 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 for real,
So
for
they
real.
don't even have the same, you
And
know,
and, and I think that was the
exposures.
beauty. That was the beauty of my. You just took me back. My mindset. Growing up, I just felt like I was never too good to accept the advice for the drunk guy in the neighborhood, or the crackhead in the neighborhood, because at the end of the day, they lived it.
I was just a yes, that's their
Yep.
testimony. Matter, you
Hmm.
know what I'm gonna say? That's their ministry. That's their
For real.
ministry.
For real.
And you will find out so much. I was the kid that talked to all the old people. I don't
Mm.
know if I ever told you this story. It's an older lady that was that went to my church when we were younger, and her foundation was really bad, the color of her makeup, so
Hmm.
it gave her like a
Damn.
weird brown look, and she looked like a witch, right? Because she had like a pointy nose and her makeup was just really dry and old looking. But anyway, nobody ever talked to her as far as kids go.
Mm.
And one day I was going to the restroom and she was sitting off into one of the rooms outside of like the room that the kids were, in class. And I came out the restroom and I sat next to her and I introduced myself to her.
Mm.
And it looked like she wanted to cry because she
Yeah.
couldn't believe like a kid wasn't afraid of her.
Mm.
And I do have this one other story. My dad told me about a guy that had this illness when I was younger, and his skin was really scaly. Um, and my dad was just like, how long ago was this? Maybe like 10 years ago. My dad told me the guy had been passed, but for some
Mm.
reason it came up for him. And he was like, he said the guy told him my dad's daughter was special. And my dad was like, "Yeah, why you say that?" He was like, "That's the only kid that walks up to me, says hi to me, and actually hugs me. Like
Mm.
she's not afraid that what I
Mm.
got going on is gonna jump on
Yeah.
her."
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, I've always been that way, right? Like being able to understand that. I think I've always been an empath. I don't know if I
Yeah.
always knew I was an empath, but I always knew to not look at people and be like, ugh, but be
Yeah.
more like, oh,
Yeah.
what you got going on?
Curious. Curious.
But nowadays, these kids,
Yeah.
they be like,
Yeah.
You can
yeah,
have a braid that's not braided all the way down, and don't come to my school looking like that. Your hair not combed.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's definitely a different time, and and I try to correct the moments, or not necessarily correct the moments, because they deserve to have a free mind, but also coach. I would say more so coach the
Hmm.
moments where I hear and it's like, yeah, well, hey, do you know why X, Y, and Z? Do you understand why X, Y, and Z? This is why I talk to X, Y, and Z. Because my oldest, she's like, oh my God, you guys talk to everybody. And it's just like you can't get as you get older, you're gonna need people to help push you
Yeah.
forward. And the forward push might be something ugly, but understand that there's power in that.
Yeah.
And so, and that's just the phase. That's why I'm so grateful to have this mindset of just being able to coach and guide in a different perspective that might seem so unorthodox to them.
And
So,
it's so powerful because so people, and I'll probably bring this up a million times. People always say, "How do you work with teenagers? How do you work with young
hmm
people?" And I say, because I have to define a certain line with them. I'm not going to argue with you, right? You got two choices. You can get free game from me, from someone who's lived it, who's been there, who's experienced it, or I could sit back and let life teach you. The only thing is,
hmm
I can't guarantee life gonna hug you and tell you I love
yeah,
you afterwards.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you can get it from me, so I can hug you, tell you I love you afterwards, or you can let life, wear your tail
mm,
out, and you
yeah,
still gonna have to come back and hear from me. So
yeah. So what you gonna do?
what you want to
What's
do
your best?
about it,
What do you
right?
think your best options are right at this point?
Because I really believe our biggest disservice as humans, not just by age from adult to young person, our biggest disservice is that we don't tell people our testimonies.
Mm.
And that's why be negative was such a big deal for me, is because there's still layers that need to be unpacked. And I don't know if
Oh
I'll
yeah, for
ever
sure.
get to that point right away, but I just feel like if I could tell you I survived it, at least you don't have to have a visibility issue no more.
Yeah,
Now you can have a visual of what a survivor looks like of anything, from
yeah,
dating a narcissist,
yeah,
from having breast cancer, to having miscarriages, being engaged,
yeah,
losing friendships, losing parents,
yeah,
losing close friends, like all these different forms of grief, losing yourself. Like,
yeah.
there was moments where I was just like, I think I'm gonna be playing with my lips somewhere because baby was stressed, just in a corner.
Yeah, nah, I hear you.
But
I
yeah,
hear you.
I just wish more people would realize that they are not the first, the last, and the end all of
We've
any type of grief.
all been through it. We have all been through it.
Yeah,
It just looks different. It just looks different, and but okay. So I know we're almost coming to the end. I'm
yeah,
not even sure where we're at, but help me understand the
here we go.
meaning of a real nigga.
In
Because
regards, as in your friends or somebody you dating?
no, as in like friends, because it was a stretch, and I seen it not too long ago where somebody may go to jail and then they get out, and then somebody posts like, oh, they let a real one out. Oh, free a
Got
real
it.
one, and I'm just like,
See, I'm gonna tell you my philosophy on a few things before I even unpack that. First of all, if you gotta ask me how somebody outside of me thinks, that means I'm thinking like them. That's like saying, well, why do people kill? You want me to think like a murderer? Like, what the hell? Why would I know the answer to that, right? But when it comes to me, when I relate to that, because again, it also depends on your circle of friends.
yeah, yeah,
Like, if I ain't got no friends that I'm waiting on to be free him backwards. What it say? Free mama to mama free. I don't have no t-shirts that say free to
yeah,
home, right? But don't get me wrong, no disrespect to people that do, because that's a real life
yeah,
situation.
yeah, for
For
sure.
me, I think a real nigga is the one that's gonna teach you not to go. That's the real nigga. The real nigga
Yeah,
gonna be like, look, so look, if you're gonna do
yeah,
this, let me
yeah,
show you how not to
yeah,
do it.
yeah,
So you don't
yeah.
get caught up. Cause I'm gonna be the real part is I'm not gonna be going to jail to see you. And I ain't putting money on your books.
And, and you know, obviously, I know, but I'm also like, is this what we highlight? And I think that's the biggest problem with that is that I never seen anyone post like, oh, this is a real nigga because he's a good dad, or like
Hmm.
we're highlighting the wrong things, and I feel like that's um the biggest lesson or
Disconnected. Okay.
message in my coaching with my daughters and younger people is just like you don't want to highlight the wrong things.
Well, it also is the title, right? Like, of course, growing up in our culture, where you say like nigga versus that's just a real dad, that's
Yeah,
just a real auntie, that's a real like. I don't want nobody to look at me and be like, oh, that's a real nigga right there, because she did. No, call it for what it is. That's a
yeah,
real friend. That's a real good sister. That's a
yeah, yeah,
real good
yeah,
godmom.
exactly.
It's just I feel like the good thing, the dope thing about being black, right? We put these titles that seem more culturally appropriate to say, but in reality, we could just call it what it is too,
Mm,
and that's culturally appropriate too, because there is a lack of representation a lot of times. Like I told you from the gate, if I can do a do over with my dad, some of the stuff that I've seen you do, some of the stuff I see my boy Parker do with his daughter and son, like I'm like, yo, I'm so proud of y'all because y'all didn't let what y'all didn't have dictate how y'all should be.
yeah,
Y'all really did learn from what you didn't have and you make sure yours don't have that experience. And that's what
yeah.
makes y'all selfless parents. That's what make y'all real dads,
Mhm. But
right?
do you think that's putting a crutch
Kirk and
like
what?
like on the kids, like giving them what obviously what we didn't.
To a certain extent,
Mm,
I definitely think there's some things that needs to be unpacked so that you're giving it increments and not giving the quantity of quality all the way around. Like quality should be number one, right?
mm,
Quality of fatherhood. Um, but
mm,
there also needs to be a area of deserving. Prime
mm,
example. When I was younger, I could not wear anything besides bubblegum pink polish, right? Like
mm,
it had to be light. And my mom said, when you get older, you can add more color because I want you to have something to look forward to.
mm,
These kids now are like big ass vending machines. It's
yeah,
instant. They can just put the money in and pop out everything. You can
yeah,
buy everything in a vending machine now.
mm,
They don't never have anything to build them up to look forward to. So
no, I hear you.
yeah.
That makes sense.
Well, I hope your girls get it. Yo, they funny. They are funny.
Oh
They're
man,
they are a
my
product
oldest
of.
had this goddamn halter top on. I'm like, where the hell your
Like I
shirt at?
disappeared off the camera.
Yeah, I'm like, but also in the same breath, I'm telling myself like, okay,
At least
this
she
is
love herself. At
yeah,
least she comfortable.
yeah,
Cause I mean, I wasn't, I wasn't wearing no damn halter tops. I was over there trying to
yeah.
wear all the big baggy clothes.
Oh, oh yeah, Lord
Well,
Jesus.
you got a journey. Just give her grace.
Yeah,
Give her
no,
grace.
for
But
sure.
one thing I'ma always say is continue to talk to her, like in a way that is not um dictatorship,
Yeah,
so where she could feel comfortable talking back. That's
yeah.
the thing that I feel like was missing growing up is that I was talked
Mm,
to and not
that's big.
talked to and
Mm,
then allowed to say something back, right? So give her an opportunity in a safe space to say, Dad, I'm wearing this because I don't feel like I'm pretty. And
mm,
because I see other girls do it. And then that's where you do your magical touch. Like, you pretty because look at me, I'm a
yeah,
baddie.
yeah. Hey.
I cannot. Anyway, as always, I appreciate sharing space with you. And where that baby at?
Sleep. Hope you're asleep for the goddamn the rest of the night. Shit.
Well, I'm gonna end with this positive note of I am so proud that you're gonna start therapy Thursday. I can't wait to like do an episode where we talk about it. Matter of fact, we're gonna name it Keymon Goes to Therapy.
Oh man.
Well, with that being said,
Why
why
be
be
negative?
negative?